Let's look ahead to another big British title fight this weekend. In the heavyweight department, Derek Chisora and Tyson Fury meeting at the Wembley Arena. Let's hear from Fury first of all. Mike has been asking him if it's fair to say he's always been talented but not fully committed to his sport.
I've always had the talent really, but never really put 100% into it. It wasn't the training hard, it was always the eating correctly. And I've had my head on now for about 3 or 4 months, and I've been eating, training, drinking, sleeping, boxing. And you'll see a massive improvement in this next fight. I was sick of looking at myself, right, watching the tapes back and looking in bad condition, looking fat. I don't want to see myself look like that, and it's just letting me down really. And when you're carrying weight, you get tired a lot easier, and you don't look the part, and it's about looking the part as well as being the part. So if I talk the talk and walk the walk, but I just got to look the walk now, so that's what I'm trying to do.
Right, I got confused there.
So
do we believe him, basically? Is he a man transformed?
Well, you know, the time to show us is on Saturday night against Derek Chisora. If you look back down through Fury's record, he's had 14 fights, he's unbeaten in 14 fights, but he's looked good at times and he's looked pretty ordinary at times. And he's had 2 fights against a guy called John McDermott, one of them for the English title. And in between those 2 fights, and they were only 9 months apart, he put on 2 stone. He went up from 17.5 stone to 19.5 stone. Now, his optimum weight is probably somewhere in between those, but that was a clear sign that A, he's not paying attention to his weight, and B, there's nobody around him who really has a clue what his optimum weight is.
He has drastically changed his diet, and he's done it. You know, in all fairness, he's just turned on. He's 23 last month, so he's still relatively young. But he is a heavyweight. It has to be said, Russell. That's never going to look like David Haye.
Yeah,
that's just not his body shape. He's never going to look ripped. He's never going to have massive definition. And if you go back over the great heavyweights that we've had in the last 30 or 40 years, there's very few of them actually look like David Haye, to be perfectly honest with you. Fury has changed his diet and has changed his training schedule and the way he approaches fights, and it is not a second too late, because in a hard fight he was going to be desperately found out. That's a fact, and thankfully he may have staved that off.
And that's what I think has been frustrating for Mick Hennessy, his promoter and manager, and the people around him, that he's got the elements that you can't instill. You can't give a man a chin. You can't give them that basic conditioning and endurance. You know, and he's got those. He's got all the talent. You know, and he's got such a strong chin. And if he was just to put the commitment in the gym, then that would start to give him that rounded presence that would make him very, very difficult to beat, certainly at domestic level, and who knows where he might go from there.
You know what I think he's got, Mike, and very few heavyweights have this, in fact, very few fighters have this. He's creative. You know, he's a creative fighter. He's a flair player. You know, if he was a rugby player, he'd be a brilliant winger. If he was a footballer, he'd be a brilliant centre forward. He's a flair. He tries to do things the right way, and sometimes he does. Sometimes they don't work because he's too tired and his arms don't work, and he falls over his feet, or the fat guy that's been imported from Estonia falls over. But he does try. He tries flair moves, and to be a big lump heavyweight, 6'6", 6'7", 18 or 6'9", and about 18 stone, and in good shape, who's creative with a heart bigger. I mean, he's going to have the biggest heart, one of the biggest hearts I've seen in a young heavyweight. And then to have that chin, it's a great potential combination. And if they all gel, this is a great jigsaw.
And does Vladimir Klitschko potentially fight the winner further down the line? He should have fought Chisora in the past, shouldn't he?
Well, he's been over here in London talking about those two. You know, I know Tyson Fury himself.
It's a complete mismatch, isn't it?
Well, don't forget that he'd signed up to fight Derek Chisora twice. You know, so that was out there. I must say, having seen Vladimir Klitschko so recently, so close up, I wouldn't fancy the chances of Chisora at all against him, or Tyson Fury. Fury, to his credit, has said
I'm not ready.
That he's not ready, and he's a long way away from that. So if he was to beat Chisora at the weekend, then that tells you that Chisora is not ready for that kind of level either.
Audley Harrison's been fishing.
Well, did he catch anything? Because those
Probably
lakes
not.
around Las Vegas are notorious for looking like they're full of fish. There's no fish. Or did you mean he's been fishing for a fight?
No, I meant he's been fishing.
Don't start doing your comedy hour, Russ, okay?
Fishing
Please.
for 18 hours, didn't catch a single thing. No, well, that's for the future, isn't it? Vladimir Klitschko, Audley Harrison, linked potentially with the winner of that fight on Saturday.
In all fairness, just quickly, these two guys, the winner of this, if they can't insult Hay into a fight, and if they can't get their name on a Vladimir contract, and he's already named a couple of people alternatively that he might fight. Listen, we can still sell the winner of this fight against Audley. I know I always say we can sell it. Audley sells, whether you like it or not. It's a natural. Am I right, Mike?
Oh, I don't know. He did a lot of damage in that fight against David Hay. I think
You can sell anything
Days are
fancy,
gone.
though, can't you?
Oh, shoot. I don't know. Big Old. I love Big Old. I don't know.
Tyson Fury is on Freddie Flintoff's show tomorrow night on 5 Live Sport from 8 o'clock. More fight